You know, a lot of people believe that the labor crisis that we're in right now is 100% Biden's fault. He injected so much cash into the system that he's de-incentivized work. And there's a lot of truth to that. However, that doesn't take into consideration just how broken the recruiting system is at most organizations.
According to a survey of more than 1,800 job seekers by the career site FlexJobs, 42% say employers were unresponsive.
Hey, Recruiter here. You know, you can't turn on the television these days without seeing news stories about the labor shortage. Non-stop talk about unfilled positions while millions of Americans sit unemployed. You can't walk downtown without seeing help wanted signs on basically every business. McDonald's and Burger King offering candidates $50 just to show up for an interview. The other day I happened to catch a video from the Fox affiliate down in Florida, and it really got me thinking. How can we have literally millions of open positions and simultaneously have millions of Americans unemployed? Stores are cutting hours due to lack of staff. My daughter's own school bus stopped showing up because the driver simply stopped showing up to work. Experts say it's a labor shortage, but is this really the case? Is it a labor shortage, or is it a terribly dysfunctional recruitment system that is in desperate need of a reboot? You decide. What the hell is going on out there? Well, let's take a look at this video and then we'll explore a little deeper.
Jobs are posted, people are qualified, but for some, in fact, for many, the hiring isn't happening.
For people like Tanya Azam, the job search has been a never-ending cycle of submitting applications, following up with calls, but getting no responses.
It's like frustrating.
Azam also previously worked as a medical assistant and has a bachelor's degree. She's applied for entry-level jobs at Target, Walmart, TJ Maxx, McDonald's, Outback Steakhouse, and anywhere else that's hiring, but hasn't received a single interview.
They just say, we are waiting for the hiring manager to come and they can call you back. Or you have to wait a couple of days so we can see it, your application online. And no one just got me back.
She's got a college degree. She's got previous working experience. Frankly, she's overqualified for the jobs she's applied to. These are all fine places to work, but with a bachelor's degree and previous experience, I think she's overqualified. No calls back, no interviews. Something is terribly wrong here. She's touched on and uncovered one of the major problems with recruiting as it is done today. And that is a recruiter waiting for a hiring manager to review the resumes he or she was sent and provide some feedback. This is a constant source of frustration. This is exacerbated by the remote working environment that many companies are experiencing. It makes it more difficult to track down that feedback. There was a time where I, as the recruiter, and you as the hiring manager, if you didn't get back to me in 48 hours, guess what? I was showing up at the door to your office, knocking on the door saying, hey, let's review these resumes together and you can give me some feedback right now. In a remote working environment, that's simply not possible. Add to this issue a likely large supply of candidates, an overabundance of people applying to the same jobs. You end up in a situation where there's just so many resumes, one single recruiter doesn't have time to go through them all. So what do? As soon as they've got 5 to 7 people, they stop looking at new applications. I think this is what's happening to Tanya. If you don't apply to a job within the first 24 hours, there's a really good chance that your resume never gets looked at. I'm not saying that that's right, I'm saying that it's a fact of life. You've got to be among the first people to apply. And it's not that difficult to do that. You can use Indeed, Monster, LinkedIn to automatically alert you via email when a new job is posted that meets your criteria. Tanya needs to get on it faster, no doubt. What else can Tanya do? Given the types of companies that she's applying to, retail, food service, fast food, etc., I would actually recommend going there in person. But before you show up, make a quick anonymous phone call to find out if the manager's actually there that day. If the manager's there, then go ask for an application, bring copies of your resume, and push to get an interview right on site. I wish you good luck, Tanya. I know it's frustrating. I know you're having a rough go of it right now. I can see the frustration in your tone and your body language. I would just caution you not to let that frustration show through when you actually do get some interviews. All right, let's take a look at the next story. Mr. Joey here.
This doesn't make any sense. If everybody's hiring and everybody's so desperate for employees, then why aren't they even responding to an email?
So he started an experiment, applied to 2 jobs a day for 30 days. Of the 60 positions he applied to, he received 9 email responses, 1 follow-up call, and 1 interview.
So hearing Joey's story, number one, I think he's a bit less qualified than Tanya, so possibly he's underqualified for some of the jobs he's applying for, but I also think he's running into a lot of the same issues. It may very well help him to focus his applications down to the areas where he actually has previous experience. Applying haphazardly at random to any position you see online that you think, oh, that might be interesting, or I could do that, isn't really going to help you.
Now, experts also say make sure you tailor your resume for each job that you apply to. It's a lot of extra work, but it's an important step.
What I can definitely tell you for certain is that both of these individuals very clearly highlight some of the major problems that we're dealing with in modern job applications. Number one, we can all apply to almost infinite numbers of jobs without much effort. You know, I'm old enough to remember applying by fax or by mail, which required a much bigger effort on the part of the applicant, so you tended to be a lot more selective about the jobs you applied to, really only investing the time in printing off a resume, writing a cover letter, printing that off, taking it to Kinko's and faxing it off, or putting it in a nice envelope and sending it in the mail. You tended to only put that effort forth to positions that you really were qualified for. But with Indeed and ZipRecruiter and LinkedIn and Monster, Career Builder, Dice, you name it, you can fire off applications to 100 jobs a day, no problem. Which leads right into number two, that recruiters are dealing with more applications than they've ever dealt with in the past. That's partially a function of the number of unemployed individuals out there, and it's partially a function of the ease of applying. It's not uncommon at all for certain positions to get well over 100 applications. Since recruiters are dealing with more applications than they can possibly review, there's a really good chance that 75 to 80%, maybe even more, of the candidates who are applying to jobs never even get looked at. That's not good. That's why you end up with situations like Tanya and Joey, people who are well qualified, who have applied to 50, 60 jobs and haven't heard a damn thing back. It's a terrible way to run recruitment. This fuels an incredible amount of job seeker frustration and fuels the desire to just keep applying more and more and more, which only compounds the problem. What can we do about it? How can we make it better for candidates, give them a better experience, and how can we make it better for recruiters? I think there's a few things we can do. Number one, companies need to invest more in their talent acquisition professionals and maybe stop investing so much in talent acquisition technology. I think there's a lot more value in having more recruiters to look at resumes, to look at candidates, than just bringing in the latest and greatest AI technology that's going to look for keywords and screen people out based on that. From the comments you've all left on this channel, I think you would agree with me on that one.
The hesitation could be due to problems with application screening programs, managers being too busy to respond to every applicant, or employers only wanting to hire applicants who come recommended.
Number two, you candidates out there have to try to get referrals. Look, use the tools that are available to you. LinkedIn is a great one. Find out who you know that knows somebody that works at that company you want to apply to. It is incredibly beneficial and valuable to you to get an internal referral. Number three, when you are applying to jobs, make absolutely certain that your resume, your application, your cover letter is free from even the tiniest little typo, spelling error, or grammatical error. In a world where you've got 150 candidates, you start looking for any reason to knock somebody out of contention. A typo on the resume will definitely do that. Now, I know I'm going to get murdered in the comments for saying that, but the bottom line is, if you can't be attentive enough to detail to find a spelling mistake on your resume, how am I supposed to trust you with a company's financials? In situations where it's possible to do so, apply in person, but make sure that you're certain the manager is there. Have copies of your resume, be well dressed, be prepared to interview on the spot. Number 5, and I think this is probably one of the critically most important things that you can do, make sure you're eminently qualified for the roles you're applying to. Yes, you will apply to less positions in total. If you applied to 10 roles and got 7 calls back versus applying to 100 random positions and got 3 calls back, which is better? I want to hear from you. Do you think that Tanya and Joey are right, or do you think that there's a whole combination of factors going on? Now, do this. Watch this video over here. It's going to give you some really good insights on the absolute must-haves to make your resume great. Enjoy the rest of your job-seeking day. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.